Hello guys, Baponet here. The new Tekken update is live, as you can see. However, since a lot of stuff has been added into the game this patch, I'm only going to talk today about the new characters that you can pull for using your rubies, and I'm also going to talk about the new packages that we have in the shop that you can purchase using your real money. And at the end of the video I'm going to do some summons for Tekken 7 Jin and Xiaoyu banner. So let's get it started. And first off, I would like to talk about the new characters. Of course, all of the new co-op characters are really good, and you should be spending your rubies trying to get either the Jin and Xiaoyu or on geese. So I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. So let's go over to the codex section, since I don't have them yet. Fighter codex, and let's start with the Tekken 7 Jin. So his leader skill increases blue element fighters attack by 45%, which is obviously really good. As for his skills, his first skill, which is called double lift kick combo, increases his attack for 7 seconds. His second skill, punch to cascade kick combo, grants him super armor for 3 seconds and damage immunity. And as you should know, super armor and damage immunity is pretty broken in this type of game. And his third skill is called Savage Sword combo, and he has 60% chance to stun enemy for 2 seconds upon a successful attack. So his skills are his first 3 skills are really good. Now when it comes to his core effects, he has attack increased by 1050, power charge rate increased by 15%, 8% strike skill attack damage increase, and he also has this great core effect called Kazama style traditional martial arts, which increase his attack by 30% and his defense also by 30% for 5 seconds upon landing an active skill. And if he is in rage mode, then this value increase by even more. So there is that. Now let's go over the classic Xiaoyu. Her leader skill grants 45% attack buff for yellow element fighters and 5% movement speed, which I found to be really cool and interesting, because in this type of game movement speed is pretty important if you are trying to clear the stage as fast as possible. It helps a lot, so I'm glad to see that this mechanic got implemented into the game. I really like this leader skill a lot myself, and the fact that it has movement speed just makes it amazing, at least for me. I'm definitely going to use her if I get her, just for that movement speed, so I can clear the stages faster. Now her first skill is called Fire Dancer, and it grants her a super armor for 3 seconds, which is really good. Her second skill, which name I'm not going to pronounce for the obvious reasons, grants her 60% chance to stun an enemy for 2 seconds. So it's basically just like the Tekken 7 Jin second skill. And her third skill is really interesting. It's called Flapping Wings combo, and it basically disables target's roll for 3 seconds if you land this skill. So it would be really good for the PvP and live PvP, that's for sure. And as far as her cores go, she has damage increase by 18% on critical hit, 8% strike skill attack damage increase, and some attack increase, as you can see. Also, what's good about her is that her core effect, Amusement Park, basically allows her to recover HP by 7% of active skill damage dealt upon landing an active skill, and it's guaranteed. So even though it has cooldown of 15 seconds, it's always nice to have a character that can heal himself or herself on his own. So I really like that about her too. So definitely a solid fighter, just like all of them. Like I said, all of them are solid. I think the only new fighter that is not really good is this school uniform Xiaoyu, which I will talk about in a bit. Now let's talk about the Fall Phoenix, which you can get from the new roulette. And I think this character is totally worth getting if you are free to play and if you don't have Orochiori. But if you have Orochiori, you don't need this guy. And since I have Orochiori already, I'm not going to be spending any rubies on him. But if I get him without spending rubies, then it's fine. It's cool and I will use him. But I'm not spending my rubies on him, because I already have Iori, so I don't need him. So as for his leader skill, as you can see, it's basically like Orochiori, attack increase for fighters by 60%, but instead of decreasing defense, he decreases the HP by 10%. Now, his first skill is Death Fist, and he gains super armor while using it, which is really good. And what's interesting about this is that it can be used when attacked, so you gotta keep that in mind. His second skill, which is called Hangover Combo, increases his critical rate by 10% for 12 seconds, which is always nice. And his third skill, which is called Rapid Fire to Panic Smasher, is pretty interesting. Just like with Xiaoyu, Xiaoyu has some interesting skill mechanics, and he also has one, since he has 100% chance to ignore target's guard upon landing a skill, so it's really good again for the PvE, because the AI in this game, for whatever reason, often likes to block a lot, and Paul will just simply ignore the target guard if he lands this skill. And it's also good for the PvP in case the AI is going to be blocking as well. So solid skills, great leader skill, just like for Orochiori, and his core effects are also great. Now his best core effect that I can see here is Biker Guy, which increases damage of Hangover Combo by 100% for 5 seconds upon landing Hangover Combo. He stuns target for 3 seconds upon landing a critical hit, and it has cooldown of 20 seconds, but still, the fact that he can stun the target for 3 seconds if he crits from that skill is pretty amazing. He also has attack increase just like Jin, the same value even. He has 15% power charge rate increase and 8% strike skill attack damage increase, and also increased damage by 24% on a critical hit. So as you can see, he is all about damage. He can also stun you, he can ignore your guard, so really solid unit and pretty easy to get. You don't need to spend much for him. If you are going after him on the roulette event, you don't have to spend too much for him. Now let's talk about this school uniform Xiaoyu, which I think is not worth getting at all. I would only get her if you really like this skin, if you really like this uniform that she's wearing, and you like collecting characters in a gacha game, then I would get her. But otherwise, I don't think she's worth it, simply because her leader skill is just like Shermie, and Orochiori and Paul skills are just simply better than this, better than the Shermie and school uniform Xiaoyu leader skill. And as far as her skill go, they are pretty decent. Like her first skill, Fire Dancer, increases her attack, equal to her defense, which is good since she's a defense unit, so she's going to have a lot of defense, obviously. Her second skill, just like the classic Xiaoyu, also grants her super armor for 3 seconds, which is always nice. And her third skill, which is called Fortune Cook, increases her critical damage by 50% for 7 seconds. And at first glance, like it seems to be pretty crazy, but when you go to her core effects, you can see that she doesn't have attack increase and she doesn't focus on any like critical damage increase or anything like that. So in my opinion, she is just not worth it, unless you just want to get the skin for her. So there is that. Now let's take a look at the best unit that has been added in this patch. It is obviously a fast unit, and is Keith Howard. Now his leader skill is nothing crazy, I would say, so I'm not going to even talk about it. Like, it's really good, don't get me wrong, but they are way more amazing things than his leader skill. So his first skill, which is called Double Reppuken, increases his attack by 20% and is also a launcher. So if you hit someone with Double Reppuken, they will get launched into the air, which is amazing. His second skill, Fudoken, will stun an enemy for 2 seconds if you land it, and Geese will also gain 3 seconds of damage immunity. So that's also really strong. Now his third skill is also pretty decent, but I'm not going to talk about it because yeah, I don't think it's something that I should talk about. And his finisher skill is also really nice because it's a launcher. It's just like Double Reppuken, it will launch the opponent into the air. So that's really nice. As you can see, he's also a fighter. So his core effects are obviously damage related. He gains attack increase, power charge rate increase. Also, his best core effect is Massive Presence, which basically grants him super armor for 4 seconds upon landing a blast skill. And it's pretty damn broken, to be honest, to gain a super armor for 4 seconds just for landing a skill. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Also, as you can see, critical damage rate plus 18%, increases damage by 18% on a critical hit. And he's just all about damage. He has pretty long super armor. He has damage immunity. His skills can launch the opponents. So he's simply just amazing. And if you are not scared about the fast rates, then you should be going after him, but I myself just don't like his art style. Like, when I look at him, he's just so damn ugly in my opinion. So I just don't want him, because I simply just don't like how he looks. So I'm going to skip this guy and I will just summon for Jin and Xiaoyu instead in a little bit. And now let's talk about the new packages that we have in the shop. Now let's go over to the shop, and first up is the Tekken shop. The only thing worth buying in my opinion from this shop is the school uniform Xiaoyu. Well, like I said before, only if you want this skin, if you care about it and if you care about the collection. Otherwise, don't buy it. Now, recommended items. Here is the daily special package, which you can buy 3 times per day. In my opinion, this pack is totally amazing, but only for whales. Like, if you are not a whale, if you don't spend a lot on this game, then you shouldn't be buying it. But if you spend a lot on this game, you definitely want to buy it every single day, maximum amount of times, because If you get lucky, you are going to get 1080 rubies, but even if you are not lucky, you are going to get 180 rubies. So you are still gaining profit anyway. When you go to the ruby prices, you can see that even if you buy this pack, this daily pack, even if you get 180, you are still going to profit because it's just so cheap anyway. So yeah, if you are a whale, I definitely recommend buying it every single day. Now this package, I think it's really good simply because it gives you a lot of souls for limit breaking the new characters. But again, if you don't spend a lot on this game, I do not recommend this package. But if you do spend a lot on this game, then you definitely want to buy this one if you want to power up your characters quickly. But if you don't care about powering them up quickly, then don't buy it. But it's a good pack. Now this pack right here is the best pack from all the packs that have been added into the game. It grants you 8000 rubies, 6 battle card selectors, 200 rainbow souls, which are pretty hard to get, and capsule selection boxes, which are pretty useless, but the first 3 things are just amazing enough anyway. And I would say if you spend a lot on this game and if you can afford it, you should buy all 3 packs of this. All 3. All of them. And if you are not a like huge spender, if you can afford it, at least buy 1 pack. At least just buy 1 pack of this. It's really good and I totally recommend it. It's amazing value for your buck. So let's see what else do we have here that I could recommend. Now you have this new starter package which gives you 5-star fighter selector and 800 rubies, and this pack is worth it to buy for everyone. Doesn't matter if you spend a lot on the game or not, you definitely want to buy this one if you can afford it. And the reason why is because you will get this 5-star fighter selector ticket. And right now there is not many fighters that you can choose from, but later on they are going to add more fighters to the selector pool, and then you will be able to choose someone new and you will be able to save some rubies instead of spending them to pull. So I would totally recommend buying this pack just for the selector and save it. Just save it and wait until they don't add more fighters to the selector pool. But if you are starting the game, or I don't know, if you don't want to wait for the new characters and you want to pick someone, then I would recommend King 94 or Mai. If you are new, then Mai, of course, Mai Shiranui 95. Yuri Sakazaki is also pretty good, but I think she's only good for her leader skill because her skill set, aside from the leader skill, is pretty bad, so she's kinda meh in my opinion. Now let's see who else you could get. I would recommend also Ryo Sakazaki because he has a lot of super armor from his skills. Now if you are going to be using Paul, or you have Orochi Iori, or if you are going to be using the school uniform Xiaoyu, then you don't want to get Shermie. But if you are not going to use them, then Shermie is always good when you first start the game. But if you are not new to the game, then you don't want to pick Shermie, of course. But Shermie is always really good because of her leader skill, of course. Now who else you can pick? A lot of people say that Ryuji Yamazaki is a pretty solid unit, but I don't see it. In my opinion, he's not worth it. I have him and I never use him, so I don't recommend this guy. I think you could also pick Kyoku Sanagi 98 because his leader skill grants burn damage to the what was balance type units, I believe. Yeah, if you have balance type fighters and you want to make a team that does burn damage, then Kyoku Sanagi 98 is really good. Other than that, if you want to upgrade your gold team, the gold farming team, then you could pick Robert Garcia 98 or King 98. And lastly, if you need a yellow element fighter that could help you with the epic quest or PvE overall, then you could pick Benimaru Nikaido, because he basically deals increased damage to the stunned enemies, and he has a skill that can stun, and you can also use strikers for the stun effect, so he'll be doing a lot of damage because all of his cores, like if the enemy is stunned, then he will do a lot of damage to them. So yeah, I think Benimaru is also worth picking, but that would be about it. But I would save it. I would recommend to save it. It's the best option in my opinion. Now let's see. I don't think there is anything else that's good in here, so let's check the secret shop. No, excuse me, not the secret shop. It was called the private shop. Now, as you can see in the private shop, there is the join celebration package, and it basically costs nothing, and you get 200 rubies and 5-star guaranteed summon ticket. I would recommend it for any new player. If you are new, then you definitely want to buy this. If you are not new, if you still don't have all of the 5 stars, even though you can get a duplicate, I would still buy this, and I'm definitely going to buy this because it's just really cheap, really cheap and pretty decent, at least in my opinion. So you can get it or you can skip it, it's up to you, because you can get a duplicate of course, but it's so cheap that I would just buy it, especially if you are new to the game. Okay, so that's about all I wanted to cover when it comes to the shop packages, and we already talked about the new fighters as well, so let's jump into the summon window right now and let's try to pull. I'm going to be spending my rubies on the Jin and Xiaoyu banner, like I said before. I don't really want to test my luck with the first percentage rates, which are 0.3%, and I also don't like how Geese looks in this game, so let's go ahead and I'm going to try and get myself either Jin or Xiaoyu. I like both of them, so it doesn't matter who I get. Of course, if I get Jin, it will be better for the PvP, and if I get Xiaoyu, it will be better for PvE. So let's see if we can get lucky in this video and get either one of them. It always lags for whatever reason during the summoning. Okay, so first one, there is no red, sadly, and nothing is going to turn red anyway, so let's skip it. Okay, all 4 stars and 1 3-star. Now let's try again. I don't have that many rubies, would be nice to get at least one of them, but you know, it's all up to the RNG. Okay, nothing, it's sadly turning red once again. Nothing in this pool either. Now let's try once more. Loaded really fast and looks like nothing once again. All 4 stars, we are getting pretty shafted. The shaft is real. This is the last pool. And there is one red. Hopefully it will be Jin or Xiaoyu, would be nice. And if not, then, well, you know, it is what it is. It is a gacha game after all. You sometimes get lucky, sometimes you don't. So let's see who it is. And it's, I don't even know, it's Heavy D, who I already have. So sadly we haven't gotten anyone new. I will try to summon this banner later, but it will not be on the video, since I really want to get at least Jin or Xiaoyu. And yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and remember to leave a like if you liked the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!